Hey guys, today what we're going to be doing is looking at the volume of a cylinder. So really quickly, a quick reminder of what a cylinder is. It's basically like a soda can. It's something that looks like this. So if we have two circles and then we just connect the lines, it's a soda can, it's a can of soup. It's looks just like this. Okay? Now the formula for a cylinder is, the volume for a cylinder is pi r squared times the height. So if you guys remember, pi r squared is the area of a circle. It's the area of one of these orange circles. And if you picture these like CDs, they're just stacked up on top of each other. So you would multiply whatever the area is of one of these circles on the bottom, and you multiply it by the height. That would give you the volume of all your shapes. Now it's also important to remember our units will always be units, and since we're talking about volume, a 3D shape, our units are always going to be cubed at the end. So let's go and look at our first example. On all these examples, whenever we see pi, we're going to use 3.14. So what my formula here, remember, is the volume is pi r squared times the height. So all I'm going to do is plug in values. So the volume equals pi r squared. So we're going to use pi, and then we're going to use my radius. As a quick reminder, the radius of a circle goes from the very center to the edge. So that would be 14 in this example, to the second power, times the height of the cylinder. That is what's going to connect the two circles. So in this instance, it's 40. Now, I personally always use pi until the very end, then I plug in 3.14 to make it a little easier. So let's go ahead and bring up a calculator and go ahead and solve these. I'm going to have 14 to the second power, and so I'm going to have v equals pi times 196 times 40. So I'm going to times that by 40, because that's my height. So I have volume equals pi times 7,840, and then I'm going to multiply pi, which is going to be 3.14, times 7,840. So let's go ahead and times 3.14, and that's going to be my total volume is 24,617.6, and we got to use my units of millimeters. And since we're talking about volume, we're going to put cubed. All right, my next one, it says, I have a cylinder with a diameter of 2.17 and a height of 30. So what I personally always do is I like drawing them when they don't give me a drawing. So if I were to draw this, it would look something like this. Okay, and it says I have a diameter, so from going one end to the other and through the center, that is 2.7 meters. And it says the height of this cylinder is 30 meters. So remember, the formula is pi r squared times the height. It gives me the diameter. So in order to find, instead of the diameter, in order to find out what the radius is, we're going to cut that in half. We're only going to focus on half of that diameter. So all we're going to do is take out our calculator and divide it by 2. So that's going to be 2.7 divided by 2. And that's going to give me my radius of 1.35. So I know that my radius equals 1.35. So now what we can do is plug everything in. I have volume equals pi times 1.35 squared times the height, which is 30. Okay, so now let's go ahead and plug this all in the calculator. And I can even rewrite this since I'm using a calculator of 3.14 times 1.35 squared times 30. All you have to do is follow your orders of operations. So you need to do 1.35 to the second power first, and then we're going to times that by 30, and then we're going to times it by 3.14. And that's going to give you 171.7 meters cubed. All right, now we got this one. This one's a little trickier. It says that the volume, it's given us the volume first, is 63.6 cubic inches, and it has a height of 9 inches. And it says find the diameter of the base of the cylinder. Find the circumference of the base of the cylinder. So first things first, I'm going to go back here and steal this shape. Okay, so now that I have this drawing, it's going to be easier to visualize this. So it already gives me the volume. It says the volume is 63.6 inches cubed. Okay, and what we're going to do is work our way backwards from this now. So remember, the formula for volume is pi r squared times the height. And we're going to fill in everything we know. Now, I already know the volume is 63.6. I know pi is 3.14. I don't know what the radius is, but I know the height is 9 inches. So all we're going to do now is combine like terms. So first we're going to do 3.14 times 9. So I'm going to have 63.6 is equal to 28.26 r squared. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide both sides by 28.6. Excuse me, 28.26. Now up here in purple, I'm going to write what that is. So what we're going to do is we're going to have 63.6 divided by 28.26. That gives me 2.25 equals r squared. Now what we need to do is take the square root of both sides. So here, this is my button right here, and I'm going to get it's about 1.5. That means r, my radius, is 1.5 inches. So it says, what is the diameter? Well, the radius is only from the middle to the side, which is 1.5. So to find the diameter, what I need to do is double that. So that means the cylinder is, the diameter of the cylinder is 3 inches. And then my last part here, it says, what is the circumference of the cylinder? So I'm going to make this a little smaller so we have a little bit more room. The formula for a cylinder is diameter times pi. Well, I already know what my diameter is. It is 3. And my we're just going to use pi, 3.14. So all we're going to have to do is multiply those together now. So that would be 3 times 3.14 equals 9.42. Now remember, when we're talking about the circumference, we're talking about the distance around the outside. It's basically the perimeter of the circle. So what that would be then is just inches. And then we're done there. All right, so let's go and look at one more now. It says Riley bought 2 paint cans in the garage. Each had a radius of 5.5 inches and a height of 8 inches. So if we go ahead and look at this, let's go ahead and bring up some paint cans. So here are my 2 paint cans. So it says, I'm going to focus on one of these, but it says that each has a radius of 5.5 inches. And it says it has a height of 8 inches. How many cubic inches of paint are in both of them? So in order to find this, what we need to do is find the volume. So the volume is, one more time, pi r squared times the height. So this would be volume equals pi times 5.5 squared times my height. And that would be 1 can, but what we're dealing with is we have 2 cans. So we're going to multiply this whole thing by 2 at the very end. So if I bring up my calculator, this would be 5.5 to the second power times 8. And then I'm going to times it by pi, 3.14. And this would give me that one of these cans can cover 759.88 cubic inches. So now what we're going to do is we are going to have 2 paints a can. So what we're going to do is we're going to times it by 2. So that means your total answer would be 1,519.76 inches cubed. Alright guys, I hope these videos were helpful. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me or your teacher.